Welcome back everyone for fourth week of IC Tune. Last week we learned about how we play drum set. Hopefully it was not easy, but good enough for you to practice. Okay, we are going to review what we learned last week, and we are going to go on to the new topic. So let's begin this week's lesson. We have learned basic of 8 beats, and we also have learned variation of 8 beats. So I'm going to play the very basic beat first so you can remind what those were. Okay, so let me play that rhythm first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So as you saw, the bass drum were playing at 1 and 3, and the snare was playing at 2 and 4. Okay, so for the first variation, I'm going to add a bass drum at the count of end of 2. So it's going to be 1, end of 2, and 3. Let me play with the count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the second variation was 1 and 3 and end of 3. There was a second variation. Okay, so I'm going to play that with count as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and last one was 1, end of 2 and end of 3. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. As we were learning these rhythms, I told last week that it's important to know how to count, but at the same time, it may be easier for you to remember by remembering the sound. So let's say, instead of saying, oh, I know that I have to play bass at 1, 3, and end of 3, rather you could say, oh, the rhythm is kung, ta, kung, kung, ta. And by saying that, by having the rhythm on your brain, or by feeling those rhythms, you may be easier to feel that, oh, it's easier to learn. Okay, so it's important to know how to review those rhythms either way, by counting and by making sound as well. Now we are going to the first new topic for this week. It's called the drums rudiments. Okay, so what we mean by rudiment is that without playing, well, first of all, without playing right foot or left foot, you're only playing with your hand about various strokes. So we have learned single stroke and double stroke, but we are mixing those to make a new rhythm. So there will be 8 notes, there will be 16th notes, there will be quarter notes sometimes. So there's going to be a lot of things that you are going to play at the same time. But I'm going to show you first how you play, or how we should play, and then I'm going to explain a little bit more about this. Okay, so I'm going to play with metronome. When you play rudiment, you always should play with metronome. Okay, so I'm going to set it to 60 and show you first. Okay, I'm just going to play the first line. I'm going to play with BPM 100, and I'm going to explain a little bit more to you how to read and how to play. Okay, so I'm going to set metronome to 100 BPM, and here we go. So when you look at the score, there are mixture of 8th notes and 16th notes. And there are also a signal over the note. Okay, when you see a signal that looks like a parenthesis, it's an accent, which means that you have to play that one louder than the other ones. Okay, so when you play louder, I don't want you to tense yourself suddenly and just play with force. Rather, you have to lift your stick up higher than others and just let it go. Then it's gonna make a louder sound naturally. Okay, so when you look under the beneath the notes, you will see an alphabet. Okay, either R or L. So as you know already, R means right hand and L means left hand. So you can see that most of the time we are going to go back and forth between right and left. And when you see the notes that do not have alphabets, that means that they are going to be again right and left all the way. Okay, so we have both starting from right hand and starting from left hand, and we already know that starting with left hand would be harder for you. Okay, so make sure that you keep that in mind and always start from slower tempo. So you can not only play eighth notes but also 16th notes with the same tempo. Okay, so that's gonna be the rudiment for this week. We have learned a few weeks ago about the foot pattern or fit pattern. So you are going to play right foot for each quarter beat. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And for your left foot, you are going to step on it at 2 and 4. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do it together with both feet, it's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what we're going to do with this, we are going to play a rudiment while we're playing this feet pattern. Okay. So important thing is that you have to be able to play this pattern without even thinking of it. So as I'm talking to you right now, and I can still play this pattern, the same thing that you don't even have to think about while you're eating. You can just eat even though you're not thinking about it. So what you're going to play is that you're going to play your bass drum on each quarter note. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And for your hi-hat, your left foot, you're going to step on it on 2 and 4th beat. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do it together, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to play this on the rudiment. So we're going to add the rudiment that we just did onto this one. Okay? So how you are going to practice is, as I'm talking to you right now, I'm just still playing the bass beat without thinking of it. Okay? So you have to practice enough. Well, enough doesn't mean that you have to practice it every day for 30 minutes or an hour. You can just play for 5 minutes and still your body is going to be used to this, okay? So you just practice this as if you're just eating your meal. You don't even think about it, but you still can't eat, right? So as I'm playing right now, I don't think about it, I still can play. If you can reach to this point, then you can just add this rudiment on this pattern, okay? So I'm going to play the first line of the rudiment as I'm playing the feet pattern, okay? Let me show you first. Now, once you're done with starting with right hand, you are going to start with left hand. Now, it's much harder because you're used to play with your right hand and right foot at the same time. But now you have to play left hand and right foot at the same time. So it's going to be much more awkward. It's going to be much more harder for you. Okay? But try very slow, even slower than I showed you, so that you can think while you're playing it. Okay? So let me show you starting in left hand. Again, it's going to be awkward because you've never done it before, but if you practice slow enough, then you are going to be able to get to play this together. Okay, so your homework for this week is playing first 2 lines while you're doing the feet pattern. Okay, again, make sure that you are okay with your feet pattern, whatever that you do, and then you can add your hand onto this one, because believe me, feet pattern is much easier than taking care of the hand pattern. I'm pretty sure you cannot memorize this hand pattern in a week, but you don't have to even memorize it. It's just something that comes natural for you once you're familiar with this feet pattern. We're going to talk about a more fun thing that you can play. Okay, so we're going to play a fill-in. What is fill-in? Fill-in is basically what you play between the rhythms that you play. So while you're playing rhythm, you just play your rhythm, and in between those rhythms, you are putting something different in. So the people who are listening will feel, oh, maybe we are going to a new part. Maybe something is changing. So you're giving the feeling. But when we are talking about that, we think about something that's very hard, something that's very technical. Okay, so I'm going to play something so that I can show you what fillin is. Okay. So what I just played is a very basic 8 beats, and I was just playing once per quarter note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... It's not hard, it's not tricky, but this is good enough as an ad-lib because you're playing something different from rhythm. Let me play something harder for you. Again, I just played very basic 8 beats, and I was playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it's the same rhythm, but I'm just playing for different toms and snares. Okay, so fill-in is not really hard or tricky. Rather than playing hard and tricky, more important thing is how well your fill-in fit to the song. As long as your fill-in is fit and suited for the song, it doesn't matter if it's hard or easy. Then by itself, it's a good fill-in already. Okay, so think about it, and maybe you'll have more fun than just playing rhythm itself. Okay, so we're gonna play basic rhythm once and put fill-in inside, and you'll be able to feel how it is like to play something on your snare and toms as a fill-in. This is it for today's ICT. As you are learning more and more, it's getting harder, and you may get bored of playing all this stuff. But this is actually a preparation for you so that you can play more fun things later. You can play extra rhythm, you can play more on drum, and this is a preparation and being ready for that. Okay, so hope you will be able to practice. And also, because we are staying at home, even though you are taking classes through internet and whatsoever, we have more time to practice. Okay? Once you start to go to work, once you start to go to school, and once you have everything back, you will have less time practicing. So hopefully you will be able to use this time for your own good by practicing, spending more time on it, and you can get better, much better by practicing more on the drum. Okay. Hope you stay safe and stay healthy. I'm going to see you next week. Thank you.